Now we need to discuss, Benji, the second most controversial moment, maybe, the Fedorov Vergaerde DSQ. I think Vergaerde should get the same suspension that Nacer Bouhanni eventually gets. 100% intentional. There is no question. If you haven't seen it, if you want to go watch it directly, it's all over Twitter. Vergaerde comes up on the right-hand side of Fedorov. He's annoyed because they've told Astana, stop trying to get in the breakaway. Stop it. We're going to control things. Let the gap go out. They were annoyed, De Koning and Alpecin. Fedorov had pulled off to the left, breaks after, in my view, Vergaerde is out of his wheel. Vergaerde wasn't in danger. He moves over to the right and moves up alongside him, throws his whole body into him. I cannot believe Fedorov didn't crash. He didn't know that was going to happen. They have the whole peloton behind them with 250 Ks to go. We could have had a mass pile-up. And then Fedorov, obviously your adrenaline goes, you're like, what the fuck did you just do? He tries to swing at Vergaerde, who breaks himself because he knows that Fedorov is going to try and do that. Purstleberg is confused. It took like half an hour to disqualify them under, I don't know what rules, presumably endangering another rider or assaulting another rider. But what do you think the sanction should be afterwards, Benji? Do you think DSQ is enough or this should be investigated?
When it comes to Otto Vergaerde, it is for me a disqualification for the other guy as well, Fedorov, and not because of the initial brake check. For me, because he tried to do it back, but the only reason that he didn't do it back was because Vergaerde was already braking and the Bora rider was in between. And that's why that didn't work out to do it back. But I think there should be extra for Vergaerde because he could have crashed half the peloton there. This is, for me, personally, worse than Bouhanni. You know why this is worse than Bouhanni for me? Because Bouhanni, we don't know. And I don't think he did it on purpose to try and genuinely put Stewart into a barrier. That's not his intent. This intent today is trying to barge into Fedorov in the middle of a peloton. That's like not okay. And I believe that's... I had 3 months for Bouhanni. If I'm honest, it's 3 to 6 months for Vergaerde.
Bouhanni had a legitimate sporting reason to move there, which was to get into Viviani's slipstream to try and win the sprint. He just shouldn't have done that or should have not moved so far. But he had a legitimate reason, at least in terms of intent, to try and win the race to do that. Vergaerde's only reason to do that is to try and crash Fedorov and bully him and intimidate him. And that's worse, I agree. And I think 3 months is right. You've got to set an example. I couldn't believe it. I was thinking, does he not know that it's being televised this early? Benji, were you shocked that someone would do that so brazenly at the front of the peloton?
I don't get it. It's not okay. And definitely for something like that, you can't be annoyed that Fedorov is doing a bit of a brake check. It's not okay to do a brake check because it can endanger the riders behind you. But it is.
I don't think that's why he did it.
No,
I think he did it because he was pissed
you don't think
about Astana trying to get in the break, and that was where the frustration came from. Why did they care if Fedorov got in the break as well? And also, Astana are entitled to try and get in the breakaway. Those guys are terrible. They're not going to win. It's the only chance of getting some TV time. What does it matter if they get in the break? Fedorov and Hugo Ould, who eventually did get in the break with Nico Denz. I don't understand it. And listen, I'm telling you right now, what do you want to bet, Benji? Do you think the same amount of articles will be written character assassinating Vergaerde as Bouhanni?
No, of course not. Bouhanni has a history, and because of that, he's also going to be pushed on more by media, and we saw that a lot. We saw that the French media was also pretty harsh on him, but they also highlighted the responses from Bouhanni, and English media only highlighted the bad parts of the responses because Bouhanni ended up saying the exact words that I'm going to say now. If Jake Stewart is scared, then he should stop sprinting. And
he's an idiot.
That's not really the response you should give.
He's
after
so
that.
dumb.
And he was doing so while calling out a journalist that said he's trying to push him in the barrier.
Even if it's a mistake, even if Nacer Bouhanni genuinely didn't try and do it, That's dumb. That's like Vergaerde saying,
Yes.
if Fedorov wants to get in the break, he's got to get in it when it goes initially. If he's going to try and bridge across, well, he had it coming to him anyway. And that's just not okay. And I don't know Vergaerde too well, don't know his character, but yeah, he's got to go for a nominal period of time, at least, to say it's not okay. Because I'm pretty sure he was remonstrating with the Astana car after he'd been disqualified as well. But yeah, big shame for him. Didn't really change the race with those two, but we just wanted to do this and put it on the Clips channel. Benji told me we should make a deal of it, because to be consistent and say, and to call out these incidents when they happen, and that way we can say, well, UCI had no excuse, I guess, for not being consistent with them. Like, Bouhanni should just get a suspension because he's named Nacer Bouhanni. But that's all we got to say about the Fedorov and Vergaerde incident.